Hi, everyone, and welcome to week five's class. Um, I just want to say thank you for your patience for me in getting your first analysis papers and your prospecti back to you. You should all have feedback on those now. Because of my father-in-law's passing, I'm going to have to put week six's class online as well because my father-in-law's memorial service is going to be Wednesday evening up in Michigan. I will be sending you more information regarding that online class, but what that means is that I want to hear from the three of you. I believe it's Alex, Stephen, and Maria, who are slated to lead discussions regarding some of the articles in CSR for that day. You're invited to do those online if you would like to craft an engagement or discussion online, but I completely understand if you don't want to do that. Let me know, shoot me an email to let me know what you're thinking. If you would prefer to do it face-to-face, which I know is what you signed up for, we can do that and simply push it to a different day. Stay tuned for a little bit more information about what we'll do about that moving forward, but do let me know if you're interested in just crafting an online engagement. Again, either way is fine with me. So let's talk a little bit about what we've got coming up and what's going to happen for this week's class. So in terms of assignments, you should, as I said, you should have feedback on your first paper and your prospectus. Your second analysis paper is due September 28th. You have a couple of options for this paper. You can essentially do the same sort of thing you did for your first paper, but if you're interested in doing something a little bit different, you could look up a curriculum theorist and research a little bit about that theorist's work. Or scholar in the area of curriculum studies and write a paper that delves into the nature of that scholar's work. Again, the guidelines are in ReggieNet, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. That is due Friday, September 8th by midnight. In terms of your prospectus, your revised and expanded prospectus is due October 3rd. Again, you can go in and see the details in ReggieNet, and you can let me know if you have any questions about that. For this week, I have a variety of things planned. The first thing I'm going to do is provide a little bit of a, I don't know what it would be called, like a mini tutorial or just some support for academic writing. And I've put this together based on some of the things that I noticed in your first analysis paper. So please do take a look at that. Regarding course content and engagements, your readings for this week were the CSR chapter by Watkins, an article or an essay called The Talented Tenth by W.E.D. Du Bois, as well as the introduction and chapter 1 of the text by Grant, Brown, and Brown. And these three texts really are meant to be read in dialogue with one another. That doesn't mean you have to read them all simultaneously. You might find it helpful to either read Watkins first or perhaps to start with the recommended link, not the required one, but the recommended link that has some information about W.E.D. Du Bois. That's along with the Talented Tenth. That optional one is linked in the weekly schedule. But you could read these in any order that you see fit. The idea for this week's class, and I think I mentioned this last week in our face-to-face class, is to really delve more deeply into Black intellectual thought and African American curricular discourse. And this is intentional. So in the Au, Brown, and Calderon text, we really delved into the curricular history and discourse of curriculum and Black curricular discourse and schooling for African Americans. The text by Grant, Brown, and Brown goes into more depth, particularly as you get into the ensuing chapters. that is chapters 2 and on. But it's meant to address more specifically some of the issues that have arisen in Black intellectual thought in education. So we're going to be delving into that with one of our engagements, which will be some flip grids that I'm going to put together. In addition, you have got an engagement that's put together by Jolynn on the Watkins chapter, and that's going to involve a Padlet to help all of us synthesize and discuss the Watkins chapter. I've also got another engagement planned for you for this week that really delves into a little bit more depth regarding what we mean when we're talking about critical theories. The first book talked a lot about critical race theories and criticality in general. But one of the things that I find very helpful about, I think it's now I'm forgetting whether it's the introduction or chapter 1 of Grant, Brown, and Brown, but really delves into some different approaches to critical theories. And so I've got a little bit of an activity plan to help us research that a little bit more, particularly with regard to different kinds of critical theories and how they've influenced curricular thought. So let's see, and what is the last thing I wanted to, one of my purposes in this week's class, and I guess also moving forward, this will start to blend together a little bit, but this is really the last class in which we're focusing very specifically on particular racialized or cultural groups. And it's also the last class in which we're solely focusing on what I might say call counter narratives in terms of curricular thinking. Starting next week, you guys are going to be reading Dewey and Counts, and who else are you going to be reading? And Jane Addams. And then you'll also be delving in the Grant, Brown, and Brown book into Anna Julia Cooper's work. My point in saying this is that some of what I want us to do this week is, and in our continued reading of Grant, Brown, and Brown, is to really think about how Black intellectual thought might be used, how we might use it not just to think about curriculum for African Americans, for Black people, or for other minorities, for that example, but how that might actually become one of many frames with which we can look at curriculum more broadly. So one of the things that we're going to be doing as we move forward is thinking about what might Carter G. Woodson say about democracy in education, or Dewey's work, or what might Anna Julia Cooper say that could inform our thinking about contemporary curricular issues and whatnot. So that is really part of my design of this course. At this point in the course, some of you might be thinking, wow, I love it. And this isn't the Critical Issues in Diversity in Education course. That's a different course. There seems to be a lot of overlap here. As you will see, what I'm really trying to do is flip this course so that the dominant discourses become, in some ways, the secondary ones, so that we can really intentionally take a different view of curriculum. So you may be feeling at this point like, wow, when are we going to get to the usual suspects? Bobbitt, Dewey, et cetera, et cetera. And we're getting there. That will start happening next week. So I just kind of wanted to get that out there again. So I think that's all for my overview for this semester. Hope this was helpful, and let me know, as always, if you have any difficulties accessing any of the engagements. Again, there will be more information forthcoming about our moving September 26th online. So see you all soon. Bye-bye.